Hey, this is Corey Barnes.
And this is Lisa Caperton, and you're listening to Her Turn to Talk.
How's your day going?
Good. I'm having a good day today. It is a beautiful day here in Louisville, Colorado.
Yeah, I'm having a good day too.
I just want to lay in the sun. I want to get under a blanket and then lay in the sun and nap.
In a hammock.
That sounds lovely.
That sounds lovely. You know what? So I woke up today and I was like, because I wasn't feeling super great. And then I put on some clothes that I hadn't worn since last summer, some shorts and stuff because it's warm. And I'm like, oh, things are a little tight. There's a little sausage in the casing happening. I'm like, oh, so then I was a little bummed, but it's just such a nice day. And I went on 2 walks, and the best part about my day is I taught Jacob how to mow the lawn. So he mowed the lawn for the first time. And so
I saw that somewhere. PE for it was PE
that was
for
our
the
PE.
day.
The PE for the day is he learned how to mow the lawn. Nice. So I'm like, yes, I loathe mowing lawn. And Danny doesn't mow the lawn because he's allergic to grass. And so every time he mows, his face swells up and he's running. And so
funny. Sorry, Danny.
It's funny. But usually I'm the lawn mower because of that. And now I don't have to. And I'm like, fuck yeah. Having kids is paying off. I've
never mowed the lawn myself.
You've never mowed the lawn before?
I know. I wouldn't do it. My brother would
pain
do it.
in the ass.
Yeah.
And I think partly because my lawnmower is a pain in the ass, and I have to spray this stuff on it to get it to start, and it will randomly stop, and then it's a piece of crap. So probably that's part of the reason. But go ahead.
I was going to say I can't wear shorts yet because I got my legs lasered, and I have to wait a certain amount of time before I go in the sun. So I wanted to put on shorts, and I wanted to sit in the sun. I've been sitting in the shade.
Yeah. How many more times do you have to be lasered? A lot? How's that work?
No, we're just kind of monitoring it now because I think we wait, right now it's been 5 weeks since I last went, and I haven't had any hair pop up. So when the hair starts maybe in a month or two, when the hair starts coming up, that's the hair that hasn't gotten fried yet.
So it's just random patches?
Yeah, now it is. It's just random patches, or one here, one there, just random. But otherwise, it's baby smooth and lovely. It was worth it, even though it's taken me. Well, I guess I've been doing it for a year now.
I noticed the other day. So I had shaved, and then I guess it was yesterday or maybe the day before. So my ankles went kind of bothering me, so I taped it up. So I went to go tape it up, and I looked, and obviously I have been missing this same spot on my top of my ankle where I shaved, because I'm not kidding. There were a few hairs there that were an inch long. I was
So on the back of my ankles, I have those tattoos, so they can't laser back there. Yeah. So I know when hair is growing because of the hair on the back of my ankles where my hearts are. And then if the rest of my legs are good, I'm like, okay, this is working. I know. What are you going to do? I hiked South Boulder. I did South Boulder on Saturday. I saw the
pictures. Was there a lot of people?
No. There's barely any. There was 4 other people up there.
Yeah, there still had to be a good amount of snow. I could still
There's still a good amount of snow, but it was nice. It hadn't melted or gotten soft yet, so it was nice and packed down. So it was actually relatively easy than usual getting up there. But oh my God, Lisa, I've never used gaiters.
Yeah.
Never had used gaiters before. It was amazing. It changed my life.
Yeah, they're nice.
I finally bought a pair at McGuckin's, and they were so nice. I was like, oh my gosh, what have I been doing this whole time? I should have been using them.
Been dumping snow and rocks out of your shoes. I had a pair, and then I lost one of them on a backpacking trip. We hung up all our stuff at night, and then the next morning, one of my gaiters was just gone. I don't know what happened to it. We couldn't find it. So I still haven't bought new ones, but I would like to.
Yeah.
But no, your pictures looked really nice. I was actually pretty jealous that you were out there doing that. I was like,
trying
oh,
to think
lovely.
the last time we did it.
Oh my gosh, it's been a long time.
Yeah. I think the last time I did it was with you.
I don't know, probably. We've done it a million times.
I know. I was trying to figure out, they were like, how many times do you think you've done it? And I was like, at least it's got to be around like 10? 15, 20. No, more than that.
Yeah. Well, considering all the years, yeah.
Yeah, in total?
A ton of times.
I'd say at least 15.
Yeah.
15? Is that too many?
I don't know. We could probably go and count our Facebook pictures.
I mean, we were up there a lot. I started thinking about it like when we went with Jenna. We've been up there with Jen. I've been up there with Megan. Megan. I've been up there with Michelle a bunch of times with Michelle.
Alone with us.
Boulder hiker chicks.
Yep, we went up there a ton.
For those of you that aren't familiar with the Boulder Mountains, we're talking about the South Boulder Peak here in Boulder, Colorado. And it is 8,550 feet, right? And if you start in Boulder, it's an elevation gain of 2,900, and it's roughly 8 miles up and down, round trip. But Lisa and I have trekked that quite a lot. But it felt good. It felt good to be out there, and I was thinking of you. Yeah. I was just thinking of all the times we've done. I
know. Well, I was thinking, I saw your picture, and then I know like we're gonna, be laxing on stay at home. Although I feel like nothing's really gonna change that much for me. Yeah. But I thought, well, maybe someday in the not too distant future, how do we do that? Could we hike while staying 6 feet apart from each other with our masks on?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Just do it. And what people were doing was, when people weren't around, I would pull mine down. But then when we saw each other, we'd pull it up, and it was mostly runners. And to go on a day like that, it was pretty good because of the snow, people weren't there wasn't many people.
Right.
But yeah, we'll that's just kind of what you do.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's just so nice too.
It's so nice. I'm gonna ride my bike after.
To go out before the snakes are up. They have already been spotted in my neighborhood. I've seen 2 people post pictures of the rattlesnakes. They're out. So
snakes.
I can't believe how many I saw last year. But I was going to tell you, I just watched the John Krasinski Some Good News things.
You mentioned it to me. I have gone on the website. I did.
So he did another one where they had a virtual prom for like high school kids for 2020, and it was so sweet. And he had he hung up streamers in the background. He had glow sticks and these crazy glasses, and different artists, musicians were on singing a little bit, and then you could see it would cut to clips of high school students in their homes dancing with their families, and daughters dancing with their dads, and it was just oh my gosh, just the sweetest thing I've ever seen. It's so sweet. And it's just things like that make me, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many nice people, and there's so many things that people are thinking about that's not the everyday, you know what I mean? Yeah. Thinking about the kids who are missing their prom and what that must be like, and stuff like that. I'm like, oh my God, it's just so special, and trying to make it special for them.
Yeah.
Because it's real easy, I feel like, sometimes to get lost in the, so you still got a nice house and you got food and you got this, but you know what? People are still sad. People are still missing out on things, Mm-hmm. And the bizarreness. I was talking to somebody the other day, and she was, it was a friend, and she was kind of getting a little teary, and she was like, I just want to touch someone. I just want to hug a friend. Mm-hmm. And she was like, and it's this bizarreness of even seeing your friends outside or your neighbors. And it's the other day I got some extra tomatoes. And so I took a tomato to my friend, and her husband came out. She wasn't at home when I went there, but her husband and her son came out to get it. And so me and Ryan, we walk up to the halfway up the driveway. We like set the tomato down halfway up the driveway, and then we walk back into the street, and then they come down. And it was just this thing of like, oh my God, I want to, like come up to you and like, let's talk. But, it's like this weird thing, but you're also like suspicious of everybody.
I know. When you guys showed up with the parade, right? I was expecting like you guys to like stop, and like my mom was like, let's invite them over for cake. And I'm like, no, Mom, they just drove away. But like seeing you guys, right? And where I went today? I went to St. Ambrose.
Oh, you did?
I did. It was so weird going in that room. It was like, whoa. Like
just like an empty room.
I went to go pick something up, but yeah, just to be back in that room, I was like, whoa, it's like real, it was like, and that same thing. I was like, oh, I want to sit in this room, with all of our friends. And yeah, I get it. It's weird seeing each other in the flesh now. It's like, oh, I want to hug you guys. And like, yeah, it's weird.
I know. I had another friend of ours. She called last night. I hadn't talked to her in a little while, and we were talking, and she was telling me, "Oh, I'm all about Costco." And it was like, this is my new like entertainment. Like, what is it like? What's that store like? What do they do? Like, that's the new thing. And she's like, "Oh, well, they have plexiglass now, and the person's behind the plexiglass, and you hold your receipt up to the person in the booth." And it's just like this bizarre world of where you have this desire for this connection, but at the same time you have this fear of like, please don't get too close to me.
Yeah.
This very weird dichotomy that's happening right now.
Yeah. I know it is. It's weird. It's weird. But then it's like, once you start interacting, all of a sudden like the guard starts coming down. Yeah. Like someone recognized me. Did I tell you this story? Someone recognized me in the store with my mask on. I was there getting those gaiters at McGuckin's here in Boulder. And, I'm bending over, like messing around with these gaiters in the store. And all of a sudden I hear, Corey? And I'm like, who the freak? I got my mask on. I'm like, who the heck can recognize me right now? Like, who knows it's me besides Travis, right? And I turn around and it's my friend who moved here, who I went to college with. And I was like, what the, and like, but it took me a moment, right? I had to like really look at him because he had a mask on too. And I was like, oh my God, and like, so we were chatting and, we were standing real far apart and like, it was just, but then like the guard starts to come down and like, it's just, I don't know. Then we were chatting and his roommate came over and I was like, I was like, nice to meet you. And I was like, we're not supposed to shake hands. And then we kind of like high-fived. But it was like, I don't know. And yeah, it is. And by the end of the conversation, it was just like, I don't know. But yeah, it's just, it's odd. It's weird. I'm real interested now to see how this is all going to unfold backwards. Like, so how are we going to go? How is this going to now work? I don't know. Rules and regulations.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know we have we're supposed to be kind of opening back up, this after next week. But like Danny and I were talking and we're like, really, it doesn't change anything for us, like at our house. Cause it's like, what are you, like, you still can't really gather with people. Right. And if you do, you still have to be 6 feet apart. Well, we're still not going to let our kids go out. Like, they can't be trusted to, Ryan and I just went for a walk. We took the dog for a walk and there were 3 kids running with their dog and like they didn't have parents with them. They had no masks on or anything. They were obviously siblings, but they're just kids. They have no idea, and like we're walking up one path and I'm trying to move out of their way because it's very clearly they were not moving, but they kept like coming closer to us and their dog is trying to look at my dog and I'm like trying to move away from them. And I'm like, and I just, it's so bizarre, it's like, I don't know what that's going to look. And I try to talk to the boys about it because I want to keep things open, but I wonder like, what do they really think sometimes? Like, what must this be like to be, an 11-year-old kid or whatever? And how bizarre this is that it's like, don't, like every time we're walking, it's like, oh, here comes somebody, let's cross the street. And, like it's so strange. And what is that going to affect later? Yeah. You know what I mean? And will that fear always kind of be back in, like, is there going to be some kind of PTSD from this down the road? I don't know.
Are you experiencing any judgment of people who aren't wearing masks?
Am I experiencing judgment? Kind of, and I was thinking about this because I find myself, like, even like with you, like I saw your pictures on your hiking on the mountain, and I was like, that's not fair. How could she's going to do that? And then I realized, like, part of that is not judgment, as more of jealousy of like, man, I want to do that, and like, man, I want to not wear a mask, and or you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
And so there's that weird part of like, I think sometimes I get annoyed when people aren't wearing a mask and they don't like try to actively like move, or like, like they make no sense. Like the other day I had a runner come right past me and like did not move, like I had no time to move, and they had no mask on, and they're obviously breathing heavily. And for me, I just like, well, I'm wearing my mask for you. Why can't you wear your mask for me? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Yeah. What about you? Do you have mask judgment?
Well, like that same thing. I'm like, okay, well, I'm wearing a mask for the greater good, right? And then there's been instances where I didn't think twice about it. I was like, oh, okay, like whatever. Like, especially outside on the paths, I haven't, but I've noticed people are moving over. I haven't had anyone do that to me. But when I was there at South Boulder, a woman yelled at a guy, and she said, if you're not going to wear a mask, you need to get way far off the trail, which that's just breeding fear and entitlement and anger, right? And I didn't like that. It didn't set with me right. That was the first time I saw that. And I was like, okay, like, and so, but at the grocery store, there was a woman and her kid, and they were handling the tomatoes, and I'm there handling, I had gloves on, I'm handling the avocados. I'm thinking, well, wait a second. They're telling us to wear masks, but here you guys are laughing, joking, picking out different putting back tomatoes. And right. I was like, but wait a second. And I was like, well, why exactly, right? Like, why do you get to do that and I don't, right? But then I was like, well, I then can choose to not pick up any of those tomatoes. Is it I can actually pick up a tomato if I want and then wash it, right? And so like it's like this new way. It's just like this extra thinking about it. But that woman who yelled at that guy, that was really interesting. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Lauren. How are you?
Good. How are you?
We're just sitting here having a discussion about mask judgment.
Oh, yes.
Do you find yourself judging other people if they're not wearing a mask?
I do, especially like in like public. Like if I don't always wear a mask if I'm walking my dogs in like a not busy place. Like I walk around the college campus near me that nobody's in right now. But like people in the grocery store and stuff, I'm just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. People in the grocery store.
Yep. I don't get it.
And of course, I had to get designer masks. I had to get glitter sparkle masks because I figured if I'm going to wear a mask, I got to be really cool wearing this thing.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I got some pretty sparkly masks from Etsy.
I lucked out. My dad's girlfriend sent me some masks that are like nice. They're just cloth masks, but they work, and I didn't have to like hunt them down.
How's the dog business been?
It's okay. We're still working, but we're about 70% down. So, but we managed to get a PPP loan. So I know, which is very exciting. So I'm actually going to be able to start paying everybody again, like a full rate starting on the next pay period.
Oh, that's great, Lauren. That's awesome.
Yeah.
News. You're the
What's
first.
the name of your dog business, Lauren?
It's Positively Pooches. Paw, like a paw.
And you operate out of Denver?
Yeah, I mean, I live in Aurora, like near Lowry, but yeah, Denver, we do like Denver Metro.
Gotcha.
So,
And you've been doing that for 10 years. Is that right?
Yeah, it'll be 10 years in September. For a little while, I wasn't sure we were going to make it. Like a month ago, I was like, oh no.
I know. That's amazing. Well done. And you got employees and a whole team?
Yeah. Before this happened, we were doing, for about a month, we were doing around 400 walks a week.
Wow.
I know. And I had a staff of almost 20. A couple people left, like went home to help their families and stuff like that. And then, so like now I'm down to, I think 15. But they all took like a reduced pay for the last like 4 or 5 weeks. And then, but like they'll be able to get kind of their normal amount going forward. So hopefully by the time that runs out, which will be about 3 months from now, we'll be starting to get back to normal.
Yeah. Fingers crossed, right? Fingers crossed. People got to start traveling and getting back to the normal work schedule.
Yeah.
That's amazing, though. We still need to get together for some coffee and chat more about the pet biz industry.
For sure. Yeah, I'd love to do that.
That's fantastic. And has the period kits been keeping you busy? What's that been looking like during the pandemic?
Yeah, well, so we still have a lot of need, and now it's just kind of like figuring out, because obviously like more people are struggling than ever. And so, the prospect of spending $20 on tampons and pads when you could spend $20 on groceries for a few days, like, is a big difference. So we've been trying to figure out like how to pivot. Like we usually do a lot of kit packing events, which would mean like people in the same place making the kits. We got a huge donation from the Alliance for Period Kits, or for period, not period kits. And, but it's only pads and panty liners, and the kits have those 2 things plus tampons, wipes, and underwear. And so like we're trying to get we got like 50,000 each of pads and panty liners, which is amazing. But now we have to figure out how to get like kind of a comparable donation of everything else so that we can actually make them into kits and give them out.
That's amazing. I wish I should have. So I was actually looking at the Period Kids website, and I mean, Lauren, I just really had no idea. And like I was talking to Corey, and it's one of those things I feel like that kind of flies under the radar when you think about how to help people in need.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily think of that because like what your go-tos are like food and maybe you think of hygiene, but you're thinking more of like, brushing your teeth and washing yourself and those types of things. Or toys for kids or helping kids in some way.
Right.
And so thinking about helping women be able to have the products that they need for their periods is not necessarily what comes to the mind. And your website has done such a great job, though, because I actually just made a donation before we got to this call.
Oh, great.
I'm looking at your website, and I wish I would have known now because I'm like, I got a little of everything. So I got some underwear, some panty liners, and some tampons, or some pads, tampons, and wipes. It's not huge, not huge, but it was
that's great.
But I thought that's so freaking brilliant because it says right on your website, you look at how to give and stuff, and it's like, oh, you want to help from your desk? Here's our Amazon wish list. You just click,
right?
You literally click your Amazon app. Everybody has the Amazon app. Or they should. It takes you to what you want. You add it to your cart. You hit buy, and it says the shipping address, Period Kits, Denver. You say yes, ship it there, and then that's it. Done. Yeah. And you can use your points. I used some of my points for part of it, so it's like so easy to do. Yeah. And we're going to definitely include all that on our website for this episode. But I was like, that's amazing. And how easy, like you literally don't have to get off your couch. You don't have to put clothes on. You don't have to do anything. You can just, it's a click away to help somebody.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And each kit, is it correct that each kit includes a 90-day supply?
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, here's a one free tampon. This is
no. Yeah. I mean,
generous.
on average, of course, like some people are going to go through more and some are going to go through less. But yeah, it should be enough to supply you for 90 days. So,
which is generous. That's big time generous, you know?
Well, it's hard, I mean, if you're experiencing homelessness, it's hard to get to the same places all the time. Like, so we don't want people to have to come like every week or every 2 weeks or whatever. Like, like sometimes they're coming consistently anyway, because some of the organizations we partner with are also, like they supply food and things like that you need more regularly. But it's nice for them to not have to worry about coming back like all the time, because I mean, I honestly can't even imagine what it would be like to be experiencing homelessness and have a period.
I was telling my husband, I was like, I haven't had a period in a long time because I've had a hysterectomy, but I remember, being at work and you're like, oh my God, I need to go home early. I feel so bloated and I feel gross and I just want to go sit on my couch and eat some ice cream and pour me, and having to feel that way, but not have a home, not have a couch, not have, you know what I mean? The things that I needed, just the basic human things that I needed. I cannot imagine.
And not to mention, it's a bloody mess.
It is a bloody mess.
Like, that's what I was thinking about, because I just got off the IUD after 10 years and I'm back again. I'm back.
Yeah.
And I forgot what it's a pain in the ass. I mean, it is a disaster zone. And being homeless and having to, and then got to find a place to shower, like clean up, like all that business, right? And I mean, this is just wonderful. This is great.
Well, and like for most people, I think it's all of that stuff. Like, it's just like it's hard to imagine like what you would do if you didn't have access to like a bathroom or a shower, but it also can be really dangerous. I mean, some people are, using old rags and, old clothing and stuff. And even people who aren't experiencing homelessness, but just are, going like struggling with poverty, they use their tampon for 2 days. And, it says right there on the box not to do that. But what are your options if you don't have, like, if you can't, I mean, I also have an IUD, so I haven't had a period in a while, but like I would go through at least a box of tampons per month, which is like $10. I mean, that's not.
Well, it's like one of the articles or one of the blog posts on your website that talks about like the new mother, and it's like I can either give diapers for my new baby or I can get tampons or pads for myself. And so, of course, what mother is not going to choose the diapers, right? Like that. That's how we operate, right? Yeah. And one of the things I found very compelling and very shocking that I was like, oh my gosh, I guess I just had no idea is that true? Like, is that statistic still true? Like 1 in 5 girls are missing school because they don't have the products that they need, so they can't go to school.
I mean, it varies by region, of course, but that stat is still accurate. And it's crazy. And I mean, there's another stat that always blows my mind that 66% of single women, single moms, have had to choose between, I can't remember if it's diapers or food, but it's their own period supplies and, caring for their children. And that just blows my mind. Like, the idea of having to make that choice is just something I can't even imagine having to deal with. But yeah, I mean, like, missing school is a huge problem. It limits, how young girls can thrive as kids. And, if you're missing even just like a day a month, that's a huge chunk of your education that is just gone.
Well, and if they're in a position to where they are missing school because they don't have these products, then you have to think that these are also the same children that they're probably not getting a meal that day, right? Because they probably got their meal from school.
Right.
And so it kind of cascades into all of these other things that they're missing simply because their body is going through something totally natural, and that everybody should have the human right, in my opinion, to have the products that they need.
For. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, like, I mean, even just with the run on toilet paper we've had recently, where, like, you know, people are hoarding toilet paper so you couldn't get a hold of it. And it's just like, I mean, it's one thing not to make it free, but it's another thing to, like, tax for it. Like, we don't tax toilet paper. It's considered a need. So how is this different?
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that either. We tax on that.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. I mean, like, if you want to go check out, like, Google the pink tax, and it will blow your mind what gets taxed that is almost exclusively women or people with uteruses, and, you know, versus other things that are for everyone.
Right. Oh my gosh, Lauren, I'm totally going to look that up. The pink tax?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, totally, I mean, you'll get some stuff that'll just be like, you know, like pens that are like pink, and so, like, you pay more for the exact same pen, except it's pink instead.
That's just like how we pay more for our clothing half the time,
yeah,
right?
exactly. But yeah, it's crazy, like, what gets taxed and what doesn't.
And I feel like, surely, I mean, I have no idea. Like I said, I literally just am learning about all of this. But have people not reached out to schools? I wonder if there are some schools that will offer these products so that kids don't miss school. But then at the same time, you run into that same problem of a young girl, and you're already, like, there's this stigma with having your period, right?
Yeah.
There's this shame around it. And so then adding that extra layer of being like, I can't afford the product that I need, so now I need you to give it to me, and here I am telling you I'm on my period, and I'm a 12-year-old girl, and how embarrassing that is.
Yeah, absolutely. There are school systems that are working on it. DPS actually has, or our state legislature has a law in the works that would essentially, I mean, you know, you used to see them all the time. You would go into the bathroom and there would be like a little box with tampons and pads, and you'd put in a quarter and you could get your whatever you needed. And so they're working on something like that would not charge you. And, you know, hopefully that'll pass and it'll get implemented pretty quickly, because I mean, that would make a big difference for a lot of people. You know, even just from, like, being able to go to school. In fact, like, people go to school to get their meals, they could also go to school to get the supplies they need. And, you know, I mean, that's something that I think, you know, most people can get behind. We wouldn't want children to be suffering because they can't afford to buy a tampon.
Right.
That reminds me that I remember putting quarters in those, right?
Yeah.
Remember there was condoms too?
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't have those in my high school, but they sure had them in the bars.
Yeah, well, there was some public place, but I was too little. But I remember, no, it must have been in my teens somewhere. But you could get condoms for quarters anyway. Yeah. But that makes sense. I remember even as a young girl thinking, why aren't these for free? Like, why do I have to pay for, like, now? What if I don't have a quarter, you know?
Well, and why are they so expensive? Yes. Like, I mean, like, the quarter stuff is, you know, annoying, but, like, I guess you have to maintain the box or whatever. But, like, why do they cost so much? Do they really need to? I don't think they do.
No, I don't think so either. And I've seen Amazon suggested that I try this organic kind, you know, but it didn't have good reviews.
Yeah.
I literally just bought some 2 days ago or yesterday. And, you know, and I'm looking at the prices like we were just talking about. I'm like, really? This is pretty expensive. Why are we? Yeah, I agree. It's too expensive.
Yeah. Even the budget friendly ones are expensive, and, like, they haven't changed in years. I mean, I think the last time we had, like, a big change in, you know, like, period management, I guess, was like literally decades ago. Like we haven't made any real changes to tampons or pads or anything for a really long time.
The plastic applicator, maybe, right?
Right. Yeah.
Like the
so
last thing?
yeah, exactly. So it's not like they're doing a bunch of like R&D that we're paying for.
No.
They're just charging a fortune for stuff that everybody needs, because everybody needs it. Not everybody, but most people need it, and at some point in their lives, and they can charge what they charge.
I actually picked up one of the menstrual cups, and that's a game changer. That'll save you some money, but then again, you got to take care of it. You have to make sure that you sanitize it in between uses and all this business. I liked it. I figured, okay, I'll save a little money, but you can't use it all the time. During light times, you wouldn't use it. So, I mean, tampons and pads are still important.
And
go ahead.
I was just going to say the menstrual cups are great. I think that's probably what I would use if I needed to make that choice again. We don't use them for period kits just because there is no way to sanitize them, and you're kind of facing the same problem of reusing things and extending your tampon use and stuff. If you can't get to a place where you can clean it, then it's just as dangerous as some of the other options. So I think they're super great for like your average listener. You would save money if you can afford to buy one. You'd ultimately save a little bit of money, better for the environment, all of that stuff. But they don't quite work if you're still experiencing homelessness.
How did period kits start?
That's what I was going to ask.
So period kits started, I think it was about 2 years ago, and it was with a young woman named Ashley, and she had experienced homelessness herself, and she, for her birthday month, decided that she just wanted to start I can't even remember the number of kits, but she wanted to make a certain number of kits. She made way more than that, and handed them out to homeless people, and she decided to move on. She left Denver, but she left the organization in the care of Jeff Davis, who's our executive director. And he spent a lot of last year building it and making it. He got it 501c3 status and all of that stuff. Created a traditional board, and made all those changes to kind of make it a little bit more official. And here we are now.
And props to a man helping out women in such a way. That's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did you become involved with them?
He knew Ashley through some of his other work, and he I don't remember exactly how they met, but he worked with a couple different organizations that he met her through. And he just thought it was a really great cause, that it was something that obviously was very needed, and that he didn't want to see this thing that sparked so much enthusiasm in the couple of months that she was working on it. I think it was about 6 months that she worked on it altogether. He didn't want to see that spark go out, so he decided to take it and run with it, and he's been running ever since. So, and he's a fully volunteer executive director right now. So that's one of our goals for this year, is to figure out how to get him a salary.
When did you first find out about it?
So I found out shortly before Jeff took over. Ashley came and presented in our, I met Jeff through a leads group at the Denver Chamber of Commerce, and she came and did a presentation for us of what the organization meant and what it was doing. And it was, I was like, wow, I had kind of thought about it before. It wasn't like it had never occurred to me that it was expensive, and probably sometimes people can't afford it, but I had never really followed that thread all the way through. So it was kind of astonishing listening to some of the stats she listed and stuff like that. And I volunteered at a couple of events, and there was some turnover on the board towards the end of last year, and I decided to step up.
Right on.
And how do you get these kits into the hands of people that need them?
Yeah, so right now we mostly do through organizations that are already working with people who would need something like this. So, and we have a full list of those organizations on our website. I'm not going to list them off because I'll probably forget one or miss one. But we go through mostly organizations. We sometimes will do like a pickup event where, like, especially after COVID kind of hit, we did a couple of small events where, like, if people were in desperate need, they could come and socially distance and get a kit of a 30-day supply, just to kind of get them through until they were able to kind of work some things out. We aren't doing those anymore just because they weren't hugely popular, and we think there's probably better ways to get that out for people who need it. And we, but yeah, we mostly work with organizations. We have a wait list of like 8 organizations right now. All of them want a specific number a month. We just got a request from Catholic Charities that they want 100 kits a month. So we're working on trying to figure out how to make that happen. The donations from just like people donating and the bigger donations are all great. But we're kind of, as a board, working to streamline our processes a little bit. My dog is about to jump up on the couch with me. But we're working to kind of make everything work a little bit more smoothly so that, we have a way to kind of compile everything and then get it out to the people who need it.
That's awesome. So obviously this kind of work is one of your passions. What are some of your other passions in life?
So I've been doing volunteering on and off for a long time. I usually work with animal shelters and stuff like that. But since I work with animals kind of all day, every day, which is awesome, I decided it would be more fun to work with a different, something a little bit outside of the box. As far as what I do for fun, right now I'm doing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons on Zoom calls like this. And
I just started playing Dungeons and Dragons the last couple of months, but with just my family, because I have
awesome.
My husband and I have 2 boys.
Yeah.
My husband plays online, and so he has like ones he goes to online. I had never played, and I still kind of don't know what's exactly going on sometimes. I think he's being a little nice to us because, I have like an 11-year-old and a 12-year-old, and they're still learning. So we're all like the 3 of us are learning, and my husband's telling us what to do. But my one of my sons is like he's gotten a bunch of the minis, and so he's painting them, and so we're getting really into it. But it's fun.
It's super fun. I will tell you that you probably will never. I've been playing for not that long, probably 5 or 6 years. And you'll never really feel like you completely understand what's going on.
Well, sometimes I feel like it takes so long that my attention span like goes, and I'm like, I forgot what are we doing? Like, what was our original quest here? What are we supposed to be doing? I have no idea.
Yes, I do that too. I'm often asking, I'm sorry, there must be somebody walking to the park and my little dog is yelling at them. I definitely have had struggles with that, like remembering what our like long-term goal is. Like I'll remember like what we're doing right now, but like, why are we here?
Yeah, so. I know. I'm like, are we not done yet? And it's like, no, we have this other quests now, and now we're gonna do this. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, for sure. But it's super fun.
Is that helping you feel social? Is that how is like fulfilling you socially right now?
Yes, absolutely. Being able to just sit down and like talk to my friends and play a game in a similar way that we normally do. I mean, it's more fun to do it in a group where we have like a map and a table and like, it's obviously, better in person like most things, but it is close virtually. And it's nice to be able to like have that experience with everybody. And it takes a while. I mean, like a session takes, 3 hours or so. at least. And so it eats up a good chunk of my day, and I feel like I did something and socialized and stuff like that. So that's what I'm doing a lot of right now. I'm supposed to be in Grand Cayman on a scuba diving trip right now, but we had to cancel it or postpone it. So my dad is a big scuba diver, and so my goodness, I wonder if the mailman is here. My dad is a big scuba diver, so we meet in different locations and dive together, which is really fun. So we were supposed to have our Grand Cayman trip this week, but we had to postpone it. So hopefully we'll make it late summer.
That's so fun, though. What a cool thing to do with your dad and to scuba dive. Oh, the ocean, it's a whole new world under there, right?
Scuba diving is definitely like going to another world. It's very cool.
And the first time you did it, I missed what you said.
I felt like I jumped in the water and I looked around and I felt like I had like teleported to another planet or something. It was crazy. It was very cool.
Do you feel at peace?
Yes.
When you're
Yeah. Because it's so quiet. Like you can't. I've seen. Sometimes one of my guilty pleasures is like silly like shark and monster movies. And on a lot of them they have, obviously because it's a film, you can't not talk for 20 minutes. So they'll have like the microphone in the mask, and I just like never want to do that. I really like not having to talk for an hour or so, and then getting out, because like we can signal like you're not really alone, but you're kind of quiet and peaceful in a way that you like I struggle with in regular life. So that's super nice. I like that. Plus I can't bring my phone down there, so like nobody can bother me for an hour.
Secret world. I know. And then you get to float. You're floating.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of snorkeling. And
no scuba diving?
No scuba diving. I've snorkeled down in Aruba and St. Martin. And like, I'll go down under, hold my breath, that kind of thing. Not just surface stuff, but it's just unreal. And then in New England where I grew up, but I love it. I love it so much.
I've been scuba diving. I wasn't a fan though, because I don't like putting all the stuff on, all the gear on. But then I'm also I'm a chicken, and I'm terrified of things, and like going that too deep, I'm scared of sharks, and I just get all angsty. But one time we were in Mexico, me and my husband, and he loves to scuba dive, and we went out on a trip on a boat, and I decided that I would do the second dive, because they weren't going to go as deep. So I stayed on the boat while everybody did the first dive, and I got so seasick, and like the guys on the boat are talking to me, and I didn't know Spanish, and so I didn't know what they were saying, and they were like handing me lemons, and I was puking off the side.
Oh no.
And we had to go do the second dive. And so Corey, they tell you like if you get sick, you just have to throw up into your regulator, into the thing. And they were all laughing at me because I was throwing. They were like, "Oh, you're making fish food. You're making fish food." It was so disgusting.
My God.
That is a nightmare. Yeah. They say that. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I wish that I wasn't so like, it didn't give me such anxiety, because it is gorgeous and beautiful and peaceful, but it's my own brain that does it to me.
Yeah, it was. It's funny because when I did my like classroom work here in Colorado, and then I got certified in Grand Cayman about 5 years ago, maybe 4, and in the pool, I hated it. I hated everything about it. I couldn't stay down. Like I was trying to like figure out how to work with my mask and stuff, and I just kept like shooting to the surface, which was a pain in the butt. And like I was like stressed. Like I forgot to breathe because my brain was like, "You're underwater, you can't breathe," and the other part of my brain was like, "No, you've got the thing in your mouth, you can breathe." And it was like it was terrifying, and like I finally heard my personal trainer's voice in my head yelling, "Breathe!" She yells at me a lot, and then it got a little better. But like once I got in the ocean, it was a totally different experience. And I was like, oh, this is great. And, I'm way less stressed. And it took some time for the knowledge and understanding of like how scuba diving really works and what I need to be aware of and be careful of to kind of meld with the like anxiety from the pool and the joy in the ocean and kind of like getting that balance. And I feel like I finally got there, but I'm, well over 100 dives in. So
that's amazing.
I think I'm actually close to 200 now, but yeah. So, which is great, but it did take some time for everything to kind of align in my head. And now I really love it. I'm generally comfortable doing it. I went diving in Bonaire, which is off the coast of Venezuela. But it's a Dutch country. And it was beautiful. They have a bunch of amazing, like small creatures there, more than some of the bigger stuff. But I had like endless mask problems, like to the point where my mask was just like fully flooding over and over and over again. I only panicked once and I was already close to the surface and had done my safety stop. So I was pretty proud of myself for that. But yeah, that was tough. But I think it taught me a lot on how to kind of manage the stress from underwater if something does go wrong, because you really have to be careful. I mean, you can't, my mask had flooded when we were 60 feet down. I can't shoot to the surface so that I can see. Like I just have to deal with it. So
it's a great practice in mindfulness of slowing down and thinking about what you're doing, right?
Yeah. And even when I like panicked, I stopped and I thought to myself, like, oh my God, everything is terrible. Like, what's going on? I just want to get out of the water. And then kind of like some of the training kicked in and I said to myself, can I get out of the water? I have done a safety stop. I've been swimming at 20 feet or less for the last 5 or 10 minutes. So yeah, it's completely safe for me to get out of the water. I was breathing a little hard and I was definitely stressed and freaking out because my mask, like I cleared my mask and it fully flooded again. And I was just like, I don't know what to do about this. But it was ultimately okay. So
have you seen many shipwrecks?
No, I've never actually seen a, let's call it organic shipwreck. Yeah. I've seen a couple boats where they purposely sunk a ship to make a reef.
Oh, so I've never heard of that.
Yeah, that's pretty common. A lot of the wrecks that people dive recreationally are stripped like on the inside, so there's no, like electronics or guts or anything in the ship. It's just the ship itself, which is safer because you can't get caught in the same way that you could. Yeah. So I did the Kittiwake, which is in Grand Cayman. I think I did another one too, but I can't remember. It's in my dive log.
It's so cool.
But yeah, so that's super fun. It's definitely an experience to be, because you're kind of, the ship I went into was sideways. So you were in the ship, but it didn't look like a ship on the inside. It looked totally different. Or it looked, I guess it looked like a ship. It just looked sideways. And it was definitely an interesting experience. So, it's super cool. I'd like to do more of that. I took a little time because it's a little bit more work than just a quiet recreational coral reef dive. So, I did a few dives before I tried something like that, but I'm definitely excited to do more once I can travel again.
Yeah. How do you feel about being in this landlocked state when it sounds like you're a beach lover?
Yeah, so I'm from New England too. I grew up in Connecticut and Vermont. I didn't go to the beach that much there because it's cold. and miserable kind of. I mean, I love New England. But now it's kind of a place I like to visit. I love hiking a lot, and it took me probably 5 or 6 years of living here. I've lived here for 11, I think, maybe 12. 12. And it took a while for me to feel like kind of an arid climate with mountains was home. But it feels like that now. If I'm gone too long, or I don't know if you guys noticed, like last summer, we couldn't see the mountains for like a month because there was so much pollution, which was awful. And there was like smoke from some of the fires and stuff.
Fires,
yeah. So we couldn't see the mountains for a long time in the Denver area, and I didn't realize how like sad it made me until they came back, and I was like, oh my God, I feel so much better. And I was like, oh. And, so now they feel like home too. So it's definitely a challenge. Usually I can travel like once or twice a year to a beach. Even if I don't get to do a ton of scuba diving at the beach, I can usually do one or two. And that makes a big difference. So yeah, but who knows? We'll see what the coming years bring. I don't know how long that'll last, but for right now, the natural beauty of Colorado is also hugely impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to love it here. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I really miss hiking.
Yeah, when our mountains disappear like that, for any reason, like clouds, and I'm driving and I'm like, oh, because I'm from Texas, which is really flat, and I'm like, oh, I don't like this at all. Like, I need those mountains there.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like a totally different place. Like, I never really thought about it, but once they were gone, because it happened a couple years in a row, I think. Like there was one that it was fires and one that it was, who knows what. And it was tough. Like I hadn't realized how used to that view I had really gotten and how disorienting it was when it was gone.
Well, how do you know what direction you're going without the mountain?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Oh my gosh. Well, Laura, it's been really great having you on here. And thank you so much for like just sharing with us and educating us and educating hopefully listeners. And I know that for me, you kind of, like I said, I already made a donation. I plan on learning more. Like, it's just something that I like my eyes, like I just didn't know really. I didn't think about, you know, again, maybe that's just one of those, it's this privilege that I just didn't realize that I had. And now I'm like, oh, well, shit, now I need to look at that, and like, let me see what I can learn about that. Right. And how can I help? And hopefully, you being able to come on here and hopefully this will help educate others and hopefully open some other people's eyes. Cause I know it opened mine.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things you don't think about unless you have to, or unless someone tells you about it. And it's kind of like the light switch going on. You're just like, oh my God, obviously that's terrible, but I think so many people are so afraid to talk about periods in general, that it just doesn't come up a lot. Like, never mind. Like it's, hard enough to talk about your period. It's even worse to talk about, not being able to buy the supplies you need for your period. And so I think it's just kind of a quiet struggle for most people.
Is there any education done along those lines, like with breaking this stigma of why we have, why is it shameful to talk about your period? Do you know, like, is anybody out there like trying to talk about that?
Yeah, there are some organizations. I don't know if I can think of them off the top of my head, but I can send you a list after we finish. That, definitely, I think there's one called like Free the Period or something. It's something like that. But I'll stop guessing and just send you the actual list later. But yeah, so there's some that are trying to take the stigma out, and we work really hard to kind of balance, like our kind of tagline is, it's about dignity, period, or it's about health and dignity, period. And so we try to, like, we don't want to shout about periods from the rooftop, but we do want to like open that conversation and allow people to talk about it and discuss it in a way that is going to be productive and it's going to make changes in the long term. So we try to remove the stigma of like saying the word period and things like that. And there are definitely some organizations out there that, do want to sing from the rooftops, which I think is great. That's not what we're doing, but I think that's a great cause and it's super, super important. And, I think this kind of a movement this big that changes everybody's perspective needs all kinds of perspectives, right? Like it can't just be about one organization trying to make a change. It has to be about all of the organizations trying to make the changes that they think are the most important.
And for our listeners,
makes total sense. Yeah. Go ahead, Corey.
For our listeners that want to learn more about period kits, where can they find you on the internet? Or
Yeah. So periodkits.org is our website. You can find all our social media there. We have an active Facebook and Instagram page. I think we're launching a Twitter page soon, and we have a LinkedIn page. And that's a great place to find information about our organization, how you can help. We're launching a monthly donor program that we're very excited about. We're hoping this will kind of put us on a track to get our executive director paid, as well as get these people on the wait list get their consistent supplies that they need. Because right now we just don't have enough to supply everybody who wants them. And having the reliable monthly donation is going to go a long way for that. And then we can kind of focus on some corporate grants and stuff for our executive director so that he can keep doing the good work, because eventually he's going to have to get a job. And, it's hard to do. He's working, well over 40 hours a week most of the time to get this stuff done. And we want to recognize that. So you can check out our monthly donor program on the website too. We're still playing around with some names for it, but it's there. You can start donating. Honestly, just spread the word. If the more people that know, the more people can kind of help us reach our goals, whether that's through monetary donations, product donations, or just connecting us with someone who can help with our vision.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lauren.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
This has been super fun.
And hopefully one day when this is over, we'll be able to meet you for real.
Yeah, absolutely. I really hope.
I know we've kind of met, but we
have. Yes. Yeah. But like actually sit down and have a conversation and not shout at each other over a table. Yeah, I would love that. And, if anybody wants to know more about me, they can check out, I have a website that's just laurenpiner.com/STF is my blog. And that's where most of my writing is, and you can learn all about my history and where I'm at now if anybody wants to know that.
Awesome. Yes.
Yeah, and I'll make sure we have all those links on our website page for your episode too.
Awesome. Thanks so much. I really appreciate you guys having me on. I'm definitely going to share your podcasts. I listened to a couple more episodes this morning. It's so nice to have just like a good conversation with so many amazing women.
Right. Oh, we're so glad you came. I'm so thrilled that you're part of our group now,
Yeah, me too. I'm very excited.
Really quickly, because you're a writer?
Yeah, a little bit. I've been, running Positively Pooches for about 10 years, and I'm looking for ways to kind of transition a little bit. And I love helping, new small business owners kind of grow and navigate the very deep entrepreneurship waters, I guess. So my blog is mostly about some of the mistakes. It starts with some of the mistakes I made. The STF is succeed through failure, because I just don't think you can succeed until you fail.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. So it starts with like kind of some of the mistakes I made in the past, and then how I fixed them or managed to move through them and come out the other side. And then it kind of moves on through just like tips and tricks. Like, you know, the last couple of weeks it was posts about how to work from home and then how to stop working from home. That's something I've been doing for a long time, but I know a lot of people are facing a new remote work life that is very different. And I'm sure you guys have experienced that too. Like this transition hasn't been that hard for me because I've transitioned so many times as a business owner that it was just another thing I had to adapt to. Honestly, the worst part is that I live alone, so I haven't had a hug in like a month, except for my dog. My dog gives the best hugs, so thank God for him. But that's like, you know, like ultimately it hasn't been a huge change. Like obviously I long to go back to seeing my friends and, you know, having a drink on a patio or whatever, but I'm not, you know, it hasn't been a huge change. And so I think a lot of that is just lessons I've learned from the last 10 years and before that. So I write about that mostly.
Awesome. Okay, good. Awesome. Well, we'll make sure to include that link on our website too.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren.